Good evening. I'd like to call to order the February 1st, 2024 meeting of the City of Nashua Planning Board. Madam Secretary, could I please get a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mayor Donges, Mike Peterson, Bob Bollinger,
Here.
Adam Varley,
Here.
Maggie Harper, here, Dan Hudson, Scott Leclerc,
Here.
Larry Hirsch,
Here.
Cameron Green,
Here.
and Alderman Clee.
Here.
Very good. We have a quorum. Next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes from January 18th, 2024. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review those minutes and would like to make a motion on approval as written or with amendment? Mr. Hirsch?
Motion to approve minutes.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Hirsch. Is there a second?
A second.
Second, Mr. Varley. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Abstentions?
Just one, me.
Mr. Leclerc abstains. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, communications from staff. Linda or Scott, anything
Yes,
to pass along?
We have 3 new items that came in since your packet was mailed out, Mr. Chair and fellow members of the Planning Board. We have an updated plan set for the 2 cases that we'll be hearing tonight, A23-0225 and 0223. Updated engineering comments, and an email from an abutter. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Scott. All righty. Next item on the agenda, report of chairman, committee, and liaison.
The only thing I have to report is only that the Historical District Commission meeting was canceled this week due to no cases.
Understood. Thank you, Ms. Harper. All right. Before we move into our executive session, I'd like to go over the planning board procedure. The procedure of the meeting and hearing are as follows. After the legal notice of each conditional, special use permit, site plan, or subdivision plan is read by the chair, the board will determine if the application is complete and ready for the board to take jurisdiction. The public hearing will begin, at which time the applicant or representatives will be given time to present an overview and description of their project. They shall speak to whether or not they agree with the stipulations recommended by staff. The board will have an opportunity to ask relevant follow-up questions of the applicant or staff. The chair will then ask for testimony from the audience, and the chair shall have the ability to limit the length of public testimony in the interest of time. First, anyone wishing to speak in opposition or concern to the plan may speak. Please come forward to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Next, testimony will come from anyone wishing to speak in favor of the plan. The board may then ask relevant follow-up questions of the applicant. The applicant will then be given the rebuttal period, at which time they shall respond to any concerns raised by prior public testimony. After this has completed, the public hearing will end and the board will begin its public meeting, at which time the board will deliberate and vote on the application before us. We ask that all parties keep their remarks to the subject at hand and not to repeat what has already been said. We want to be fair to everyone and make the best possible decision based on the testimony presented and considering all applicable approval criteria established in the Nashua Revised Ordinance of Conditional Special Use Permits, Site Plans, and Subdivision Plans. Thank you for your interest and courteous attention. I ask that you please turn off or silent your cell phones at this time. And if anyone is on Zoom, if you could please mute yourself for the time being until we take testimony. All right, moving into our executive meeting. Old business subdivision plans. We have 3 cases, A23-0066 through A23-0068, all related to certain property off the Veterans Memorial Parkway. Those cases have been tabled to the March 21st, 2024 Planning Board meeting. Under old business site plans, case 823-0069, related to the same prior application, has also been continued to the March 21st, 2024 meeting. So those will not be heard this evening. If anyone is on Zoom, waiting to hear about those. Those will be heard in March. Next case on the agenda, moving to new business, conditional use permits, and new business subdivision plans. These are related, so potentially there could be a motion to accept both of these cases simultaneously. These are properties located at 29 Kinsley Street. Applicant is CJ Investments. So if any member of the board has had an opportunity to review these applications and would like to make a motion that the board accept jurisdiction, I would ask for a separate recommendation for the conditional use permit as well as a separate motion for the subdivision plan. Mr. Varley.
Mr. Chair, just before we take up those cases, I wasn't sure if on the prior cases, if we need a motion to table those, because I think perhaps the prior, they had been tabled maybe until tonight's meeting, or maybe the next meeting.
Maybe
so
the 15th, yes.
Yeah,
I think you're correct. I would take a motion to continue cases 823-066 through 823-0069 to the March 24th meeting.
So, Mr. Chair, I will make that motion to table until the March 21st, 2024 meeting as to those 4 cases.
Thank you, Mr. Varley, for that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Green. Any further discussion? Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes. Great. Going back to, pardon me, new business, conditional use permit, and new business subdivision plan. Applicant CJ Investments, property is located at 29 Kinsley Street. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review those applications and would like to make a motion for acceptance of both the conditional use permit as well as the subdivision plan? Alderman Clee?
I'll make that motion to accept both 823 was it 0225? Do we also do for the 823-0223?
Very good. There is a motion by Alderman Clee to accept case 823-0225 and 823-0223. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. If there's a representative of the applicant, please come forward, and if you could identify yourself for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Andy Erickson, and my address is 28 Quincy Street in Nashua, New Hampshire. I'll just say what our plan is. Our plan is to open a 28-day residential treatment center. We're at the tail end of 49 Kingsley Street, where we're getting our certificate of occupancy next week. So that one will open, and then our hopes is to do the same exact thing at this building, and then one will be men and one will be women to separate them. I got emails about the neighbor that complained about parking, and our building will be easily able to fit 3 cars. And at nighttime, there's only 2 staff that are there through the night, so they can both park in the driveway, so we don't need street parking. During the day, they just do regular street public parking, and there'll be only 3, maybe 4 cars at most. But yes, we have all the life safety, sprinkler, the whole building's remodeled inside and out. So, if you're driven by 49 Kinsley, literally the same thing. But yeah, so it'll be fully staffed. So, I don't know. I guess that's it.
Sure, thank you. Are there 20, or is it a 24-hour facility, or is there kind of like, I guess I'm trying to figure out how the staffing is configured throughout the day?
There's going to be 3 shifts. You always have a tech on duty. You always have either an RN or a nurse, I think it's the same thing. And then through the day, there's a doctor, therapist, and then at nighttime, you'll have the RN and the tech. But it's 24-hour, always staffed.
Okay. And quick follow-up before I toss things back to the board. Is there visitation allowed?
Yes, there is visitation allowed at the building, and it's obviously planned. It's like family members or your wife or your kids, and there'll be designated times that they can come to the facility and they go in their own room, have whatever hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, and then they leave.
Okay. And so my last question would be, so based on staff and the fact that you're scheduling visitation, you feel that there's adequate parking provided to accommodate those needs?
Yes, because any visitation will be during the day when street parking is open, there's no permit parking. During the day, you don't need the permits to park. And then on Kinsley Street, I mean, I've been there every day for a while, and there's plenty of parking all the time. I drive a big truck, we have trailers, we haven't had one issue. And even if it did become an issue, we have numerous properties in the area where people could park at in a very close proximity, or they can go to the parking garage. But I don't see any. And to be honest, most families aren't visiting in the first 30 days anyway. But, so, yeah.
Thank you. I'll open it up to the board. Ms. Harper, please.
Yes, could you just kind of give us an overview again of what kind of treatment is happening during this 28-day period, you know, in this portion of their recovery? And what, I guess I don't know, when you say tech, like who is that person for these people?
I will do my best on that, because
Okay.
I don't run the actual day-to-day.
That's okay.
But we own Rise Above, which is sober living.
Yes.
We own Process Recovery Center, King Healthcare, and we have 76, I mean, he knows way more than me if he wants to come up.
Yep.
Oh,
Just state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Trey Rich, 9 Tacoma Circle, Nashua, New Hampshire. So this facility generally, there'll be, like you said, 24-hour care. This is, so when you come into treatment, you initially start a detox, and then you come down to what we're gonna do here, which is residential treatment. It's 28 days, they'll be seeing the case manager, they'll be seeing the therapist daily, they'll be in groups, facilitators. And then they'll kind of go to our next step, which we offer throughout we have a PHP also. At 21 Factory Street was kind of they'll transition to when they're ready. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, of course.
Other questions from the board? Alderman Clee, please.
Thank you. How many residents did you say would be in this property?
At this location, I believe we're going for 12.
12, okay. I vaguely remember, when we had this conversation before, parking was an issue at that one. When I'm looking at this, are there 2 buildings on this property?
Yeah, so I believe that's why we're also trying to get that subdivided. So before that, there was the homeless shelter.
Right.
They had reached out to a few different nonprofits or facilities like ours, and they interviewed, and they felt that we were a good fit, which was a big compliment to us. But that property came with the 29, which was the homeless, and then just a normal apartment complex. But they're all listed on one lot, which is a little funky. But
Okay. And I'm just trying to recall the previous conversation that we had when you came in from 40, I think it was 49 Kinsley.
Yep.
And parking was the issue and so on. And I thought I remembered you saying that the residents really didn't have cars because they're not coming and going.
Yeah,
So the
no.
only cars are those of the staff and potential visitors.
absolutely.
So no residents are going to have cars or
No,
anything
so
like
once you're a
that?
resident, you're not allowed to have your vehicle until you're cleared, which is when you graduate the program. They're pretty much dropped off. We have, if they need transportation to get there, we'll assist with that. But while they're with us and in our care, they're not allowed to have vehicles or leave.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Other members of the board? I guess I'll just ask one more follow-up. Have you had a chance to review comments from the city engineering department? Are you amenable to any of their recommendations or?
That might be more Andy, sorry, we're like tag teaming it. He's a little bit more of the physical. Do you have anything?
Yeah, it was, I'm referring to Joe Mandola's letter of January 26th. seemed to be pretty straightforward, but I just wanted to make sure that you were amenable to those conditions. Oh, certainly, please.
Andy Erickson again, 28 Quincy Street. Let me just try and find that info. I know everything has been addressed. Which question is it?
I guess just in general, there were some comments about the sewer connection.
Oh, okay.
The fact that trash is to be contracted.
Okay, yes.
Just
We use Bernard Waste Systems, but we also have a lot of employees, and I have full-time maintenance and staff that goes to all of our buildings through the town and collects most of the garbage and brings it to 28 Quincy Street where the shop is. And we have dumpsters. Bernard Waste System has dumpsters. So everything will be taken out of there. It won't stay at the property. And then the sewer, as far as I know, the city, and nobody could find any record of the actual 29 Kinsley Street sewer location. I mean, I know where it is. It's in the front, in the middle of the building, which we're gonna get the high def camera put through and all that, and do all that stuff when the time comes, I guess. And then more than likely, we'll end up redoing the sewer line to the engineer specs because it's old and I don't want to remodel this entire building and then it floods out because I've had to replace, I couldn't tell you how many sewers in the city already, so. But yes, that will be taken care of.
okay. Okay. One last chance for the board. Okay. Thank you. Does not appear to be any members in the audience wishing to speak on this application. Is there anyone on Zoom?
There's no one on Zoom.
There's no one on Zoom to speak either in opposition or in support of this project. Just for the record, we did receive one letter from last name De Leon raising concerns about safety, parking. I think to a large extent that's already been asked and answered, but if you would like to add anything else to that concern, please feel free.
Yeah, I did see the email about she's worried about her property value, safety for her family, and parking. And then in this particular area of town, we have numerous houses, and almost every time we come, neighbors hear anything involving drugs or rehab or sober living, they instantly think there's just a bunch of criminals out there that are going to rob their houses up. But these are all the ones that are trying to fix their lives and save their lives. So we have 24, 22 buildings in Nashua, and there's no crime ever. All the neighbors, after they get to know us, are generally nice. And I guess the stigma of people hearing drug addict, they don't want it near them. But in that area of town, it's everywhere. So we have, all our houses will never have drugs. They're all drug tested. There's staff. So I get their concerns, but it'll be the one property in the neighborhood that they don't have to worry about it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Close the public hearing, enter into our business session. Any further thoughts or discussion from the board on this application? Alderman Klee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To be very honest with you, the city, like all cities, need programs like this. I think it's a worthwhile program. I think that they've proven in the past that they administer it very well. There's been no complaints from police or anything else like that. So I think they've done their due diligence, including with the sewer issues that Mr. Mendola had brought up, and it sounds like that they're going to be moving forward with that. So my opinion is I think this is worthwhile in approval. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Klee. Other members of the board? Would like to remind the board there are two separate applications before us. The first is the conditional use permit. I think it'd be appropriate to have a motion first on the conditional use permit prior to getting to the subdivision. But is any member of the board prepared to make a motion on the conditional use permit element of this application? Mr. Leclerc.
Sure, I'd make a motion to accept new business project A23-0224, the conditional use permit to allow for a halfway house at 29 Kingsley Street, and that motion does comply with NRO 190-1. Excuse me, I'm on the wrong line here. Yeah, with the 190-133F requirements, and does comply with our requirements outlined in NRO 190-146D. And the one waiver in the staff report for a waiver of 190-198, which is the minimum number of parking spaces, read as is granted, and the waiver will not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulation.
Thank you, Mr. Leclerc. There's a motion to approve case 823-0225. Is there a second on that motion? Ms. Harper. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes. Next, I would like to ask a member of the board, is anyone willing to make a motion on the subdivision plan, case 823-0223?
Sure.
Mr. Leclerc.
Sure, I'll keep going. So with respect to new business case 823-0223, the subdivision plan for the two-lot subdivision at 29 Kinsley and 86 Chestnut Street, I'd make the motion that the board, that this plan does meet the requirements outlined in our subdivision plan, NRO 190-138G, and that the first two waivers as written in the staff report, first one for section 190-282B9 be read as is granted and will not be contrary, and the second one of section 190-198 also be read as is granted and will not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulation, and stipulations 3 through 5 be as written in the staff report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Leclerc. There's a motion to approve subdivision plans. Is there a second? Alderman Cleek. Neat. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes. Congratulations. Moving on in the agenda, other business, review of tentative agenda to determine developments of regional impact. We have none. Other business item number 2, discussion on establishment of the inclusionary zoning standards. Through prior discussions with staff, we are actually going to take that up at a later date, most likely at one of our March hearings. Discussion items, there are none. Would like to make one clarification on the agenda. It lists next meeting is February 15th. I understand it that there are no cases prepared to move forward, so our next meeting would actually be March 7th. So everyone gets a night off. So before adjourning, is there any other business item or item of concern that the board would like to discuss? Alderman Clee.
It's not an item or a discussion, but I want to make comment to those out there who have anxiety about buildings such as this and so on coming into their neighborhoods. Many of us, including myself, oftentimes can be NIMBYs, not in my backyard. I'm all for it, but not in my backyard. Those that I've talked to that are neighboring many of these facilities find that they're maintained for cleanliness and good behavior and so on. So I think we look to drug problems or homelessness and so on. The only cure for it is to find homes, to find jobs, and to find facilities that will take care of people. So we can't keep looking at not in my backyard. The person that wrote, I understand those concerns. We have real problems with parking in the city, so I am not dismissing any concerns to parking or anything like that. But I just think as we move forward, we have to kind of open our hearts sometimes a little bit more. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Clee. Any other members of the board? No? Hearing no one, consider a motion to adjourn. Ms. Harper?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Mr. Green? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion unanimous. Adjourn the meeting at 7:27 PM.
I swear.